Hey, my name is I, played Quake for over 17 years, now testing mice and sharing some experience. This is a Gigabyte XM300. If Batman designed a mouse, I'd assume this is what it would look like. For everyone in Australia, I got mine from M-Wave, currently $49 AUD. Or Amazon for people overseas, you can get it for $40 USD. I'll leave the links in the description. So straight up, this mouse is cheap, but you get a lot of value with it. Unfortunately, I think where it's going to have problems is with the build quality. Otherwise it has a 3988 sensor, which is one of the best, and Omron switches. Just quickly, they put some plastic on the feet that you can't actually see, so be sure to remove that, carefully. Now let's have a listen to the buttons. Left and right click are Omron switches, but my left mouse button isn't as good as the right. This is fairly common on mice, it's hard to get them the same. Overall, these ones are good for FPS. They might be a bit tough for MOBA, but if you get one with the left mouse button feeling like the right button on mine, it should be good too. It performed quite well in the click delay test, with no noticeable delay, and the usual speed for the clicks. Check the description for the link for the delay test. The side buttons have very little travel and good tactile feedback, with slightly angled shapes and mouse 5 sticking out a bit more. They feel fairly comfortable, not perfect, but they do offer enough resistance, so I actually like them. I can only speak for my copy of course, but these buttons are easy to use and quite good. The scroll wheel has a decent amount of tactile bumps, but it does feel a bit loose, so it scrolls web pages quickly, which suits me, but it may not be perfect for CS players. However, I think there's enough tactile feedback there to suit them as well. Mouse 3 is low and has a medium resistance, so it's not easy or hard to press in. However, it rattles. In fact, look at this. Turned upside down, it's not secured properly, so that's either a design flaw or just my copy. The DPI buttons are a great addition and work as you'd expect. Very hard to accidentally press them due to their position toward the middle. So when you shake this mouse, it rattles. The good news is that if I hold the scroll wheel, it doesn't rattle. That's the only part that's loose. For everyone who has this mouse, I'd really like to know if this is just my copy. When tapping it on the desk and holding the scroll, again, no rattles. It's a well-built, solid mouse. It's just a scroll wheel on mine that needs fixing, and also the side. If I press it in, it creaks a bit. These grips here are rubber, both sides, with the textured matte plastic around it, and on top, it's a grippy but still smooth plastic. I think this is one of those mice that would be good for people with sweaty hands. It feels very easy to grip. The mouse cable is 1.8 meters long and fairly stiff plain rubber, which I've turned into its own mouse bungee using Blu-Tack to stick it down. It feels a bit rough on pads, so I recommend using the Blu-Tack trick or get a mouse bungee. The mouse feet are at a decent volume, and they seem to glide well enough too. The shape is quite safe with plenty of room for your thumb and fingers on the sides, and there's enough of a ledge to make it easy to pick up. That just adds to the grip of the materials and textures. Shape and materials, very important. There are some really nice comfort grooves in the left and right buttons, and overall, I found this to be a very comfortable design. Where it feels a bit strange is that I think it's meant for palm grip, but with an 18.3cm hand, I'm actually more comfortable holding it more toward the back. So it's almost like it's suggesting that I use fingertip grip instead of palm. Still, this might suit people who palm grip from 16 to 19cm, claw grip 17 to 20cm, and fingertip grip 18 to 21. The grip width is about 5.7cm, and the base length is about 11.5, giving it a great 2:1 ratio. With a little bit of cable, it weighs about 100 grams, which for a mouse this size, should suit a lot of people. Now let's check the implementation of the 3988 sensor. First, the rocket jumping test, just to check if it's good overall. And yes, I was perfectly comfortable rocket jumping with this mouse. And now let's see if I can make it spin out by throwing it across the pad. And the answer is, of course not. Unless I can hit over 5 meters a second, it's not going to be possible. Next is the sniper test, just pixel by pixel. Then speeding it up, just checking if it tracks all the movements. And it's a great performance. Just a quick note, if you're getting really unstable jolting, Then change the polling rate to 500Hz and then back to 1000. That usually fixes it. I don't know how common that's going to be or if it's just a bug, but that's a fix for you. I haven't seen it have a problem at 500Hz. The liftoff distance is just under 2 DVDs, so about 2.5, maybe 2.4mm, perhaps a bit under that too. That's not the lowest you can get, but it is fairly low. Unfortunately, you can't adjust it in the software, but it's possible that they might add that feature in the future. I've done some video tests and there doesn't seem to be a delay on the mouse. The 3988 sensor is known to be very responsive, and I've tested it at 400, 800, 1600 and 3200 dpi. It works fine, can't make it spin out and it tracks smoothly, so it should be good for low sensitivity players, as well as high. As far as I can tell, there's no acceleration or deceleration, although I'm still not 100% confident in my testing methods. This is subject to user error, however, if there is a problem, it'd be very small. From past experience with 3988 sensors, acceleration and deceleration is not an issue. In the line test, there is no jitter, angle snapping or skipping, and the liftoff movement is well controlled. And testing for sensor rattle, zero movement. The software is fairly basic with no LED change as I mentioned, but you can use from 50 dpi all the way to 6400, and that goes in increments of 50. There are 4 custom DPI modes and several polling rates. You can change the buttons to various functions including media and Windows commands. You can set up to 5 different profiles, apparently to the onboard memory, and you can also set macros. It's an RGB mouse, although the color accuracy might not be the best. It seems to have a bit of a tinge where it shouldn't. Still, I think you can get a really nice color and the LED is quite bright. When you set it to gradient mode, it does have smooth transitions. So it's not the best software I've ever used, but it's still quite good. And for the price of the mouse, it's great value. Now the important part, could I aim with it? It was fairly good for tracking, great for projectile and sniper weapons. So overall, yes. It felt good using this mouse, and I really enjoyed it. I'd recommend this for FPS players. I'd even use it in competition. In fact, this is a mouse I'll be wanting to use more often. If other people get copies and the build quality issues I mentioned aren't a problem, then this is really a top mouse, especially for such a low price. Even with postage, this mouse is really cheap for what you're getting, and I think it'll easily make it into my top 10. Check my website for details, but that's subject to change depending on how good the next mice I get are. So I hope that helps. Remember, if you want one of these mice, check the description for the links to mwave.com.au, that's for everyone in Australia, and check the Amazon link for the rest. Subscribe if you haven't already, like this video, and I'll catch you in the next.